Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Turfcast podcast pre-game show with me, Joe Redman. Now, Brighton and Hove Albion up this weekend, who currently sit, is it 9th in the Premier League, 8th in the Premier League? They're doing well anyway, a lot better than us. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be another tough one. It is obviously more of a winnable game than the last two, after playing United and Liverpool, but it's a far tougher game than it was when we had Watford at home, and we all know how that one ended. But since the Watford game at home, there has been some positive results for Burnley, some positive performances that I have mentioned on the channel before. I've said that we do look better in the last two games. I've mentioned it in my Lanks Live column. If you didn't know that all, by the way, I now have a weekly Lanks Live column in Lanks Live. It's a Burnley Football Club column that you can find on their website. I will put the link below if you're watching this on YouTube in the description to my latest Lanks Live column, so you can check it out there. But if you do want to see it every single week, just follow the page on Twitter. Follow Lanks Live on Twitter, and you can follow me personally on Twitter. It's at JoeTomRed, and I will tweet it out pretty much on the two that I control, and Lanks Live will be tweeting out as well, just like they normally do. But the performances have been better since that Watford game. That Watford one was dreadful. It was absolutely dreadful. Second half against United was really good. First half, again, was a little bit poor, but it was the first half against Liverpool that was really, really good. We created chances. Weghorst could have scored a couple. Should have scored at least one, to be fair. And we just looked a lot better. Okay, we ended up losing the game, but it's Liverpool, and I feel like Liverpool managed the game really well in the second half. I think that was just how good they were rather than how poor we were. They didn't really let us get a sniff, but that's what teams like Liverpool and City can do to you. But, it's something we can look at them two games and gain a bit of confidence from. Hopefully the lads can do that too. But the Amex is going to be a very, very tough place to go. Brighton are doing very, very well. However, I saw a stat this week that said we haven't lost at the Amex for around 8 years. I didn't double check that. And as you'll see in the interview coming up with Brighton fan Joe Sayers, I have taken stats off the internet too many times, not checked them, and end up making look like an idiot. So that might not exactly be correct. But I don't remember losing at the Amex recently. I remember obviously winning there a couple of years ago when Chris Wood scored 2 and Ashley Barnes got 1. I remember a 2-2 game, or was it 1-1 when Kieran Trippier scored? A long range effort. That's obviously going back some time with Kieran Trippier playing. I think it was in the Championship, to be fair. And of course, there was the Michael Keane justice header, which that was the 2-2 one, wasn't it? I think the other one was 1-1. But anyway, as you all know, my memory is dreadful to those of you who watch the channel regularly or listen to the podcast. So just so I don't embarrass myself again by giving out an incorrect stat, let's get into this interview. As I've just said, I am joined by Joe Sayers. He's obviously a Brighton fan, and he's from the Albion Obsessed Brighton and Hove Albion podcast. And just like that, we are joined by Joe from the Albion Obsessed podcast. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Apart from the weather, how's the Storms treating you down in Brighton? Because it's probably a good job the game's not up in Burnley this weekend, definitely.
Yeah, we've got amber warnings for tomorrow, but hopefully should be over by the time that the game comes around. And hoping there's nothing too drastic that means the game can still go ahead.
Yeah, you would like to think so. It's only really snow and obviously COVID these days that tends to call Premier League games off with the drainage that we have. Let's talk about Brighton then, shall we? Because, you're having a very, very, very good season. Definitely looking at you with envious eyes at the minute when we're rock bottom. 9th in the Prem, 33 points. Okay, not the result you wanted last time out against Man United, but we'll get into that. But talk to me about your season so far. How do you feel like it's gone?
Yeah, it's a bit dreamland, really. Obviously, I think people have seen that it's been coming. Obviously, the football we played last season, what we couldn't do last season is put the ball in the back of the net. And this season we seem to be converting our chances more. The luck seems to be going on our way a little bit. To be honest, I think some performances this season haven't actually matched performances of last season. We've just managed to get the results, and that's what it's about in the Premier League. Is you just have to force your luck sometimes, and that's what we're doing really well this season.
Yeah, you mentioned it there. You said the goals, last season you were playing well but weren't scoring so many goals. I still look at you and think you could be better if you did score more goals. I don't get me wrong, Maupay's class. He scored a really good goal recently. Was it against Watford?
Yeah.
really good finish. And I remember watching it thinking, that's a sick finish, that. But I feel like with somebody, I know it's very difficult to get players like this, but with somebody who was like an out-and-out goal scorer, say Danny Ings, for example, who's recently gone to Villa, you would be so much better, potentially knocking on the door of that top 7.
Yeah.
Was that a fair comment? Or
exactly that. We need that sort of 15, 20 goals a season striker to really push us into where we want to go. The chairman's made it very clear that he wants us to be a top 10 Premier League side for seasons to come. And obviously we're in that top 10 part now, but that gap between us and Europe is so slim that we've drawn so many games this season. Which is great because it's points on the board, but you convert even a couple of those into wins, and we could be looking as high as 6th place. So yeah, it's really positive stuff, and we just had to keep believing in the philosophy because Graham Potter's got us playing really good football, and as you said, a lot of teams are looking at us with envious eyes at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Well, obviously, we definitely are rock bottom of the Premier League. But let's talk about that Man United game then, because it was a weird one, because I dipped in and out of watching it, because I think there was PSG Madrid. It was Tuesday night, weren't it? So I dipped in and out of both, really. And the first half, you were playing some really, really good stuff. Like, I think I saw one stat at a particular stage. You were having like 62% possession to United, and you were just cutting through them pretty easily. Yeah. Creating some chances, but not like any real out-and-out, like amazing chances. But then the second half, it just tended to fall apart a little bit, didn't it? What were your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, as you say, first half we were really good, playing like the home team, really, and that's it's really good when you can say that against a team like Man United. They have got world-class players, as much as people sort of meme them in the media and take the mick out of them. They are world-class at the end of the day. But yeah, I thought we could have gone into half-time at least 1 or 2-0 up. You say we didn't have really many clear-cut chances, but there were a few that could have crept in. Basuma had one. Jakob Moder has 2 chances. One really good save from De Gea.
Yeah, I remember the save, to be fair.
Yeah, if that goes in, it's a completely different game. We just come out second half. Mentality wasn't there. It's something I've praised a lot on our podcast that I do, is the mentality of this side. But the mentality seemed to have dropped, and Basuma was a little bit isolated in the middle. And when you're isolated with Cristiano Ronaldo bearing down on you, it's always going to be a sorry sight. And yeah, we just lost our heads, and then obviously Lewis Dunk got sent off, which is debatable. I said on our podcast yesterday, talking about it, that if that's against us at the other end of the pitch, then I'm probably calling for a red card. It's so subjective because you don't know if Webster's going to get there. You don't know if I can't remember his name, Elgana, I think his name is, whether he's going to get to the ball. But yeah, as I say, it's all subjective. But just wasn't there, and when you go down to 10 men, it's always going to be a struggle.
Yeah, of course, especially at any of the big 6, big 7, really. It's interesting, though, because obviously it's good for us that he misses the game. But it annoys me seeing stuff like that, because there was a very similar incident with Maguire, and I think it was Jade Rodriguez when we played them at the Turf a few weeks ago, about a week ago, actually, on the 8th of February. Because it was Man United, they just got a yellow card, and we were screaming for a red. Again, it's subjective because I think it was Lindelof. I can't remember. It could have been someone else, sort of like who could have got back and recovered. But then it was the same sort of scenario for you. So it's just frustrating, isn't it, when you're not one of the big 6 and all these decisions do tend to go against you and always seem to go in the favour of the big 6. I think that's another example of it.
Last season, when we played at Old Trafford, Danny Welbeck was pulled down in exactly the same way, but inside the box. He was through. He was going to score. There's no doubt in my mind that he would have put the ball in the back of the net. Maguire pulls him, and there's not even a penalty. It goes the other way and out for a goal kick. So, I don't understand it.
I know. I understand it in the sense that it must just be not even it's intentional bias. I don't think like there's this big sort of like meeting where everyone's got the hoods up and saying we must only give penalties, to the other one. I just think it's because it's. what's the word? Sort of like not intentionally, and they're unintentional sort of like bias towards the big six because they've been around for so long and they are the biggest, and they will probably get the most grief and shit off the managers if they do give penalties against them, especially Liverpool, because we all know what Klopp can be like. But let's talk. Let's talk about your ambitions for the season. Then you've mentioned your chairman wants you to finish in the top 10. Am I right in thinking this is currently like one of your best seasons ever in your entire history?
Yeah, it is. We are, I don't know how many points exactly, but it's definitely under 10 points to get our highest ever Premier League total in terms of points. Whenever we're above Palace, it's always a good We haven't finished above them for years, so it will be nice if we can finish above them as well. But the ambitions, it's definitely to be finishing in that top 10. Our fans, we're dreamers. We look higher. We dream of European nights. Whether that will come or not in the next few seasons, I don't know. It is a possibility this season if we go on a run from now until the end. We can always creep in there. But the ambition has to be top 10.
Yeah, well, I think with the Conference League now being a thing, and I think finishing 8th, you get in the Conference League, whether you want to be in the Conference League or not is a debate for a lot of clubs, but obviously clubs like your Brighton, your Southampton, pretty much anyone apart from the top 7 or 8 really would particularly, I think, want to be in any European competition. Like, we experienced it, a very small sample size, thanks to the ridiculous draw, but I went to Aberdeen with my friends, watched Aberdeen come to the turf. I didn't go to Istanbul, but went on the game at the turf against Istanbul. Then I did go to Athens to watch them play against Olympiacos and Athens. Olympiacos coming here, it is brilliant. Like, all right, we did unfortunately get knocked out, but I can understand why anyone would look at that, even if it is the Conference League. It is a competition for clubs like ours to experience European night. So why not take advantage of it? Do you think you can do it then over the next sort of like few seasons? Then do you think you can qualify for Europe? Is that your personal aim? Is that what you want to see Brighton do?
Yeah, it's definitely what I want to see. Everything's aiming towards that. Under Graham Potter, every single season we've improved. And as long as we can keep hold of Graham Potter and all of our main assets in terms of players like Leandro Trossard, Neil Maupay, he's improving. You've got Alexis McAllister coming through as well. Jakob Moder has been first class this season. I think he even got an assist at your place at the start of the season. So, it has to be the aim. But whenever you're doing well and you're a club like us, other teams are going to come and pick you apart and
of course
take your best assets. So we just have to be strong and. There's no doubt in my mind that if we do keep this squad together, then we will be hitting those heights.
It's interesting though, because I think one of the worst things that we did was just refuse to sell anybody. Like, we was in a position for the last few seasons where we've been, battling for top 10, battling for 7th, and then when we were 7th and we finished 7th, our stock has never been higher. And one thing, I don't think Brighton would make this mistake because you do have good owners that do invest. Is we just didn't really buy anybody, and we didn't really move forward as a club. And then the season after, we didn't have a particularly good season that season, but players were still interested in some of our players. And you look in the past when like Michael Keane's left, Danny Ings has left, Kieran Trippier's left. They were big blows, but we always recovered from them because we reinvested the money. Whereas we just stood still this time, and like the conveyor belt of players going out stopped, which means the conveyor belt of players coming in stopped, and everything just stood still. And that's why we are where we are now. Like, the new chairman's come in, he's tried to buy players, good players as well in Corney and Weghorst, but it's just probably not enough, too little, too late, I think. But again, we'll get into that. But I think one thing, even though obviously you do want to keep all of your best players, but I think with owners like yours, I think you can always trust them to reinvest the money. So it might not necessarily be the worst thing if, for example, someone came in for more pay. I think you don't want to lose Potter. I think that will be the hammer blow. Definitely not. Yeah. But let's talk about. Let's get your thoughts on sort of like Burnley in the relegation battle then, because obviously we are in a position where we didn't really expect to find ourselves in. I've sort of like explained the reason why I believe we're in the position that we're in. We've stood still for too long. What are your thoughts on where we are currently, and did you expect it?
It's one of those things with Burnley that you're very unpredictable in terms of that, and I've seen you down the bottom, and obviously with all those games in hand, and I've always thought that you could possibly pull yourself out of it, and by winning a few of those. But it's a difficult task now, for sure. Like maybe 10 games ago, I was thinking, Burnley will be fine. They're always fine. In the end, you've got a great manager in Sean Dyche. As much as I say, other clubs probably meme him and take the mick a little bit, but he's a great manager. There's no doubt in my mind about that. You know, there's a reason he's been at Burnley for so long. You guys must love him. I don't know what your views are on him.
Love him.
If you were to get relegated, I'm sure he would be the man that you would want to stay in place and get you back up to the Premier League. I remember a few seasons ago when I think it was us, Middlesbrough, you guys, Burnley, fighting for automatic promotion, and that was one hell of a season, and we had some really good games against you guys as well, and Dyche was still manager then, so he always gets you well drilled. I can't write you off because you could go on an incredible run. You have in the past, so I don't see why you can't do it again. But it's a difficult one.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And I know people sometimes, obviously, they don't particularly want to come on a Burnley podcast and say, well, I think you're going down, because obviously, you know, the only people watching this really are going to be Burnley fans. But I agree with you. I've said it on the podcast for a few weeks now. I just can't see how we get out of it. The only particular teams that I think we can catch, I think Newcastle are out of it with the money that they've spent. I think Everton as well. Them two clubs spent the most across Europe. So, you know, it's kind of not unfair because, you know, it is what it is, but they've kind of got a bit of a cheat code, Newcastle especially, because they can just, you know, you knew they were going to be fine. Kieran Trippier breaking his foot. I never thought I'd say this, but, you know, that's made me not smile. I don't want to see Kieran Trippier get hurt because we love him at Burnley, but, you know, it's good for Burnley. So who knows? They might get dragged back into it, but I think they'll be fine. Leeds, they've just got better players than us, so I don't think we're going to catch them. Brentford, potentially. But we just need to start winning games. And with one game won all season, I don't understand how some Burnley fans still think we can get out of it. Like, there's going to have to be a ridiculous turnover in form for us to get out of this. And I get criticised every week. I get criticised when I do my column on Lanks Live. I get criticised on here. But I just don't see how we can get out of it. Yes, we have gone on runs before, and that's what people hold on to. But I don't know. There's just been something missing this season from us that isn't really there this season. So, I don't think we'll get out of it.
When we beat you first game of the season,
honestly, it set the tone for the entire season.
That is exactly what I thought. I thought, Burnley aren't going to have a good one at all because we never win at Turf Moor, and we've won there twice in a row. Now. So something's not right, as you say, but I hope for your guys' sake that you can do something. But it's not looking good.
Yeah, cheers, mate. I remember, like I said at the start of the season, before the game, like people were just like going to these first games of the season thinking, it's just first game of the season, it's fine. But I was like, we're playing Brighton at home. You know, the only time we have ever had a really good season in the Premier League, the season we finished 7th, is we beat Chelsea on the opening day of the season, and it's immediately set the tone for the season. And it's exactly the same now. We lose at home after going 1-0 up as well. And could have easily been 3-0 up at half time because we played quite well in the first half. I think we hit the post and the bar, obviously scored the goal. And then Potter changed it a little bit. And this has also set the tone for the season because he brought on Adam Lallana at half time and he put 3 in the middle. And we just got overrun in the middle of the park. And that has been our weakest part all season, just getting overrun in the middle. The midfield is too weak. And then as soon as we lose at home on the first day of the season, you know, you're immediately under pressure. You're immediately chasing, and then we had a few tough games after it. Didn't get a win until mid-October, and haven't won since. And it's now, you know, it's nearly March, so you know we need to get a wiggle on really. But let's talk about obviously Dunk's out for the game. He's got a 3-game ban now for the red card. Will he be a big miss? I mean, I know he's a good defender. But you've got a good defender to step in. I think he was injured for the game at Turf Moor, so he didn't play at Turf Moor either. And we all know what happened there. You won the game 3-1 or 2-1, was it? I can't remember.
2-1, 2-1.
Yeah.
Did he?
So is he a big miss? I don't think he did. Well, I've seen a fan tweet something this week that said he didn't. So I just went off that and presumed it was gospel.
I can't remember that far back, to be honest. My mind is gone. He is a big miss. He's our captain. He's the best defender we've ever had. There's a big debate between Brighton fans at the moment on our Twitter that is he the greatest defender we've ever had? And in my opinion, yes, he is. he's been a little bit off of it since coming back from injury because he was out for 3 months. And a lot of fans getting on his back, saying that he's past it, he's finished. He's not finished. He's a club legend, and I said on my podcast yesterday that people need to respect him. As you say, we have got options to come in and replace him. Decent options. We've got Joel Veltman, who is the biggest bargain buy you'll ever see in football. I stand by that. 900k, and he's been phenomenal. Adam Webster, Shane Duffy to come in, and Shane Duffy loves a physical challenge, and Burnley always pose that as well. So, yeah, we're in a good place. Obviously, it would have been nicer to still have Dan Burn on the books, but obviously,
of course.
I thought he was having an absolute blinder of the season, and to see him change into a £13 million defender is fantastic. I absolutely love the guy. He's so down to earth. I met him once, and yeah, just a top bloke. So yeah, as I say, we're in a good place, but we would much rather have Dunkey in the side.
Yeah, just in the interest of getting things correct here on Turfcast, I've just quickly done some research while you were talking there, and Dunk was actually in the side. He did start, so yeah. So whoever tweeted that out, I will find you and I will block you because you've made me look like a right knob. But yeah, so like, what sort of game are you expecting then? Because you just mentioned it there. You expect Burnley to be physical. The good news for us is that Weghorst isn't going to miss the game. He is going to be playing, probably will start, probably up front with Jay Rodriguez again. Or we might tweak it a bit, maybe put Cornet up there, because obviously Cornet's been on the wings a little bit. And he's been a bit quiet since coming back from AFCON, to be fair. So it's interesting what we will do up front. But what sort of game are you expecting at the Amex this weekend?
Exactly what I said. Physical battle all over the park, and something that we don't really do that well in is when teams really get into us and sort of throw us off our game a little bit. You've seen the football we play, and it's liquid football at times, and it flows so nicely. And you know, Sean Dyche knows exactly how to deal with that. There's no doubt in my mind. He's very experienced in playing very, very good football inside. And you know, you've seen results that you guys have got against huge teams in the past, where he's, you know, just gone at them with physicality. Obviously, with Weghorst being back, I didn't know that. I was banking on him being out, to be honest. So yeah, a little bit scared for that. I was hoping for an Ashley Barnes return, but I don't know.
Well, it does enjoy playing against you, to be fair, to Ashley Barnes. I remember him scoring at the Amex not too long ago. Was it when we won 3-0? Chris Wood scored 2. Yeah, Chris Wood scored 2, and Barnsley got 1. And I remember a debate on a few Brighton channels after that. Other people say we shouldn't have let him go for so little. But I think he's another one. I think we've kept hold of him for a little bit too long. He's been injured recently as well, although he has played this week in the under-23s. So he might be on the bench. No, was it him? I can't remember, but he might be on the bench. I think he came on against Liverpool actually for a little bit. Again, my memory's dreadful.
Sorry. Yeah, Barnsley's one of those that, you know, he was a Marmite player, a little bit like Molpe this season, because there's a lot of fans that don't like Molpe, but
that's interesting,
phenomenal, and that's what you got with Ashley Barnes as well. When he played for us, his work rate, he always played with his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah, he's still the same.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too much sometimes. He's a bit hot-headed. Don't know if he's still like that. But I loved Ashley Barnes. I thought he was amazing. Brighton fans forget that he was our second highest top goal scorer behind Glenn Murray in the side that got us promoted to the Championship. So yeah, people have very limited memories on that, but I loved Ashley Barnes, and every time we come to the Amex with Burnley, you know, I always applaud him because he done some great things for our football club.
Yeah, totally agree. There's a bit of a debate amongst Burnley fans at the minute now. Like, is he past it? Have we kept hold of him too long? He probably is a bit past. He's getting old now, to be fair. But you know, it happens to everybody. It doesn't mean he's not good. And he's done a lot of stuff for this football club. Like, again, we've been promoted with him twice, just like you were promoted with him. You know, he's been here. You know, he's scored goals in in the European season. You know, some good ones. So I don't like to see criticism of Ashley Barnes, some of the criticism that he gets, because he's been a fantastic servant for this football club. But yeah, let's get some predictions then, because I am going to get some splinters on my arse and sit on the fence here, simply because you've drawn 12 games this season. We've drawn 11 games this season. So it just makes sense that we will draw. I think that you have the quality to beat us. But I think, we've gone to Stamford Bridge and got a point there. We've gone, to the Emirates and got a point there. We've recently got a point at home against Man United. I think we are slowly starting to be hard to beat again, which is the Burnley way, as the football rant. I can't remember. Atletico Mid says, the Burnley way. I think we are becoming a bit more Burnley again, but it's again on 17 points we're on at the minute. Not 17, but how many points have we got? 14 points at the minute. Then Watford are on 15, Norwich on 17, Newcastle on 21, Everton on 22, Leeds on 23, Brighton on 24. Draws aren't good enough. We need wins. But I just can't see you've been so good this season. I can't see us going there and winning. But I'm just expecting a draw because we've drawn so many, you've drawn so many, and I think you can struggle to break teams down, especially physical teams. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Definitely. What we need is a fit Tarek Lamptey. We need an all-firing Mark Cucurella on the wings, and we can't go far wrong with that. We've been waiting, and I'm sorry to say this, it's a Burnley podcast, but I have to stay true to my opinions. We are yet to really, really take it to a team and absolutely play them off the park and the scoreline to reflect that. And I think, or I'm hoping at least, that will happen on Saturday, and we're going to see a nice, healthy win for Brighton. I am sorry to say, but and as well, as I mentioned him a little bit earlier, Jakob Moder. We're still waiting for his first Premier League goal. He's been so close in getting it, and every Brighton fan is willing him to get that on Saturday. So, I mentioned on our podcast that I thought it was going to be a 3-0 win. And I am going to stick to that, I'm afraid.
Oh, fair enough. I'm going to go for 1-1. I do think we had a couple of chances against Liverpool that Weghorst should have buried, and he has got some criticism for it. I was getting text messages of people who will remain nameless for those watching, saying, "Oh, he's a fucking donkey, he's shit." I'm like, just relax. He's clearly a good footballer, but you would have expected it just from watching him in the Bundesliga over the past few years. You would have expected him to score them. I would have expected Chris Wood to score them. Never mind Weghorst. So I do think I think he's due a goal now. I think we are starting to create stuff, and I'm hoping he can get a goal. But you've been so good this season, and like you said, you finally are starting to get the goals that you feel you deserve. Although you could be getting more, I feel. So I do think you'll score against us. So yeah, I'm going 1-1. And you know what? I'll even though we need wins, I'll take a 1-1. I just want to keep it ticking along because it's one of them. Like if we get beat, and I've said this so many times, I think we are down anyway. But if we get beat, I think that is pretty much not the final nail in the coffin, but sort of like out of 6 nails, that's the 5th. So I think they're going to be up for it. And there's people saying must win, and obviously I think all games pretty much from now until the end of the season are going to be must win because we're getting caught adrift. So it's a tough one. We're 7 points behind Newcastle, so a point isn't good enough. But because you've done so well this season, I would take one definitely.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of teams come up against us and take us for granted a little bit because the name of our football club is Brighton and Hove Albion. People relate that to a small club that's easily beaten. I'm not saying this about yourself because you seem very well educated on how we play, but I think a few Burnley fans are being for a little bit of a shock that we do play extremely good football, and if your confidence is low, we're gonna absolutely run rings around you. So it's one of those, but it just depends what Brighton turns up because we are inconsistent at times. As I say, we don't really like a physical challenge, so Sean Dyche is going to be all over that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I can completely respect that because even in the scenes where we were finishing 7th and 10th, people were just saying, we've got Burnley at home, we'll smash them 3-4-0. So yeah, I can completely respect that, and I know how frustrating it can be. But before we go, do you just want to give everyone, let everyone know where they can find you, where they can listen to your stuff and watch your content?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Joe. I'm from a podcast called Albion Obsessed. We talk all things Brighton and Hove Albion. So if you are an Albion fan listening to this and you haven't subscribed to us yet, please do pop over to there. You find us on Twitter. It's all under @Albion Obsessed. And my personal is Sayers BHAFC.
Is that because I don't know if you even have Sayers down in Brighton. I don't know, but there's the pasty shop, isn't there? They say, is that because you're a big fan of Sayers?
No, that's my surname.
That's your surname. I was going to say I might become Greg's, or Oddie's BFC, something like that. If that were the case.
No,
yeah.
but I was made aware of the Sayers pastry shop listening to the Jack Make Happy Hour podcast. They recently had from Liverpool on there.
Yeah, it's more of a northern thing, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think pasties in general is more of a northern thing, to be honest.
I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not named after that, I'm afraid. But I'll
no, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, if you haven't already, please go and subscribe to the Albion Obsessed podcast. If you haven't already and you're watching this as a Burnley fan or any other football fan really, you want to see more Burnley content, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. And then if you want to, go and subscribe to the podcast as well. If you don't want to do any of that, just hit the like button. That really does help the YouTube algorithm, and more people will, of course, see our content. But thank you for watching, and we're probably going to do some content either during the game or after the game. I'm not going to commit to it now because you know how ridiculous I get and forget things, and then just things pop up. But there'll definitely be some content this weekend on the channel about the game. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.